On our last episode, we were only able to make $26 off of an iPhone, and I was able to run a pretty cool experiment when it came to iPhone colors. But today, we are back here with something different, and I have a great feeling that we might be able to push $100 per plus in profit on this episode. And I'm just kind of saying that because today I have purchased a steal, and what I have behind me is an iPhone 12 Pro. So this iPhone 12 Pro I was able to purchase for $258, and overall it is in garbage condition. It is really rough. The back glass is completely shattered, the front glass has a bunch of hairline cracks all over it, and we're also missing a camera lens because the camera lens appears shattered, so the camera's kind of like being exposed to the elements right now. And that is kind of why I was able to purchase it for so cheap. However, there is one different catch that I've only just discovered by unboxing this phone. Initially, I purchased this phone thinking that it was going to be T-Mobile locked. And that's what it said on the listing. It said T-Mobile locked. But upon opening the phone and like checking out the settings and inspecting it, it is actually SIM unlocked, meaning that you can use it with any sort of carrier. For that reason, it should fetch a much higher price. Originally, I was expecting to make like a profit of $60 when I was like buying the phone and like running through the numbers, but it being SIM unlocked is a huge gain for us, meaning that we could probably potentially push above the $100 profit margin, and we could have our best episode yet. Well, potentially, depending on how the repair goes. And for that reason, I am really excited to get through with the repair. My guess is why the seller kind of mislabeled the iPhone was because it did come with a T-Mobile SIM card already in the tray, so maybe the seller thought it was going to be T-Mobile locked, but I'm not too sure. But I am really glad that I was able to make probably one of the best deals, or potentially one of the best deals on this series so far. But yeah, I've never done a back glass repair quite like this, so I'm going to be keeping track of the time, and then I'll be letting you guys know how long it took, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts on the overall repair and selling of this phone. So I'm going to be catching you guys right in the repair. After powering off the phone, heating up the screen, and then prying the screen off of the phone, we now have access to all the internals. So when it comes to back glass repairing, it is kind of important that you do not damage any of the internals when it comes to the phone. Now, traditionally, a lot of repair stores usually use some sort of laser to remove the back glass, but I'm going to be using heat, as I don't own a laser. The reason I'm using heat is because it's pretty cheap to do. All you need is a heat gun and a razor blade. In return, you're going to be sacrificing time and effort. It takes a lot of effort to try to pry this back glass, or try to remove all the back glass off. And in doing so, you might risk damaging some of the components. You're applying a lot of heat to the back glass. So for that reason, I want to make sure all the internals of the iPhone are removed. So I started off removing all the internals. I'm talking the Taptic engine, the SIM card tray, the speakers, the cameras, and the battery. All these components needed to go, along with the logic board. Now, when I was taking out the phone or doing this repair, I did notice something about the battery of this iPhone. This battery of the iPhone came with some sort of almost acetone smell. Now, this is not something that is normal, and I decided to kind of play it safe. So after I removed the battery, I made sure to order a new battery. Now, I'm going to be running into the issue of the iPhone now throwing a non-genuine parts message for the battery, but I decided this was a lot better than replacing or putting back the old battery that was most likely leaking. When your battery kind of leaks out, you're going to be noticing some sort of like chemical smell. It's going to be very similar to nail polish, and for that reason, I did not want to risk putting an old battery back into the iPhone. Now, I'm not too sure why this battery was leaking. Could be that when it was dropped, the battery punctured. I'm not too sure, but I decided to play it safe and replace the battery. So after all the components of the phone were out and logic board was safely out, I decided to proceed with the back glass removal. We're going to be heating up small little portions, starting where the cracks are, and then grabbing a tiny little razor blade and prying it up. And that's basically the entire process. Heat it up, pry it with some glass. Heat it up, pry it with some glass. And in due time, we will make some progress in ensuring that the cracked glass is off the phone. So by doing this, and this process probably took around 2 hours, I did encounter some issues. So some parts are not going to have that many cracks in it. For that reason, it's going to be very difficult to remove. I believe that the back glass, if it doesn't have like any sort of cracks, it's going to be very hard to find like a little section to pry off. For that reason, you're going to need some sort of punch in order to try to make some cracks in order to remove the back glass more easily on some sections. So I decided to go out and purchase a kind of a back back glass punch. It really looks like a pen, and essentially you just push down and then it tries to shatter the glass. And this is all good and all, but I did run into some issues. To use this punch the most effectively, you should try to steer away from any internal components, meaning that you should probably avoid puncturing in the middle because that's where the wireless charger is, and you should try to kind of use this very slowly. Use as least pressure as you can when it comes to using the punch. Now, when I was first using this, I've never used this tool before, and I did damage some components. I damaged the flash for the camera along with the wireless charger. Both of these components I managed to damage, and it does kind of suck, but luckily these two components are relatively cheap to replace. Both of them cost within the realm of $5 to $10, and afterwards I grabbed the new glass and I was able to kind of peel the adhesive and then apply it onto the phone. And at that point we have a really great casing, minus some parts that are broken, but we're going to address that in a bit. And I decided to go ahead and order up the battery, the wireless charger, and the flash sensor. And once those parts arrive, I'm going to be jumping back in the repair, reassembling everything, and hopefully the phone will be working well. So it's been about 3 weeks since I last did an update on this iPhone, and a lot has really happened within these last 3 weeks that I'm going to kind of go over. But I'm pretty proud to say that we are now finished with this project and we are now ready to move on to the next iPhone. As of this morning, we found a buyer and we are now going to be heading to the post office later this afternoon and shipping off this iPhone. So to start off with, what has happened, or what did I do between my last section and today? So I was able to, as I said, order up the parts and get them to my doorstep within about a week. After I kind of unboxed everything, I noticed a couple different issues with these components that really was kind of like a setback for me. So the first one was the wireless charger. So if you guys never fixed an iPhone 12 Pro before, the wireless charger is connected to every single button on the iPhone. So the wireless charger is connected to the volume, the power, the ringer. All these components are on one assembly, meaning that if I wanted to change the wireless charger, I needed to change the buttons. Ordering the assembly, putting it on, the wireless charger was now working fine, but the volume buttons were now broken, or the top button was broken, meaning that we had a defective part. So I had to, once again, after spending right around an hour reassembling the phone, I had to spend another hour disassembling the iPhone and taking out the wireless charger and returning it back to the manufacturer and hoping that within a week they would send it back to me. And they did. That was a huge setback, but another really big setback came at a kind of a fault of my own. I ordered a iPhone 12 Pro Max part, which is the flash sensor. So I ordered a flash sensor that fitted the Pro Max, not instead of the regular Pro. So this is just like a small mistake that I made, and it really set me back around a week. But luckily I was able to once again return that part and get a new one. That was for the right iPhone this time. That probably took right around 3 weeks of just ping-ponging back and forth, of waiting for parts to come into the mail, putting them on, you know, doing that whole entire process. But afterwards, we were able to assemble the iPhone. So I have a working iPhone 12 Pro. The front screen I was able to replace with a brand new screen. The back glass, as you guys already seen, is a brand new back glass, along with all the internals. We have a brand new battery, we have a brand new wireless charger. So the phone is in really great shape now. So I went ahead and listed the iPhone back onto eBay. I wanted to price it and sell it for right around $450, $445. That is what I thought like a fair price for an iPhone 12 Pro would be. About a week, I realized I wasn't really getting that many offers, or I wasn't really getting that many clicks on my listing, so I decided to lower the price down to $420. And within 2 days, the iPhone got sold. So today I now have all the numbers. I'm going to be breaking them down as I usually do, and we're going to see how much profit that I made, given that I put in right around 8 hours of work into trying to fix up this iPhone, and it's spanning over a month to complete this project. To start off with is the eBay fees. The eBay fees probably took around $67.45. Our next cost was buying the iPhone. So buying the iPhone took around $256, and then I had to purchase parts. The parts took right around $83, and I'm not going to be breaking down every single individual component, but I'll have a quick picture on the screen of all the components if you guys are really interested. We are now able to do an LCD buyback because the old screen was in really great shape, meaning that I could get $37 back from the manufacturer. We are now left with a profit of $48.05. So $48 is not really that great, given that I had to spend about a month on this project along with spending 8 hours of my time to try to fix this iPhone. So this is probably going to be close to one of the worst episodes in terms of time to profit ratio, even though I went into this episode thinking it was going to be one of the best due to a lot of circumstances that are pretty unlucky. I bought an iPhone that came with a bad battery. Parts that I purchased were not the right parts, so that really added to the time. I don't really want to be spending a lot of time meticulously trying to disassemble, reassemble, and doing all this unnecessary work, or what seems to be unnecessary. It really highlights difficulties when it comes to electronics repairs, and I'm trying to bring as realistic a picture for you guys and trying to highlight all of my difficulties, all of my challenges, along with all of my successes. So we're going to be leaving off with a profit of $48, and as a reminder, we started the episode with $326. Adding $48 brings us to $374. We are now officially over the 1/3 mark for this challenge. We're going to be really needing to pick up the pace towards the end of the year, given that we only have right around 4 months left before we hit December 31st. So I'm going to be trying to pick up the pace. Hopefully we do not get unlucky again with one of these repairs and we try to reach towards our goal of $1,000. So I'm going to be heading to the post office very soon, shipping this iPhone off and looking for our next deal. And we are going to now be back with a budget of $374. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I wish you guys luck with all your repairs.